Hey guys, what's up? I hope that your preparations for the upcoming RBI Grade B exam are going great. So, welcome to the YouTube channel of LYT Mode, where we guys work really hard so that you can leverage your time for the upcoming RBI Grade B exam. And today, guys, I've brought a very interesting topic for you, that is the Census 2011. So it's a topic which is asked in not just RBI Grade B. You can begin with any exam that you can think of, as high as the civil services exam, and you can go from there. You can go to all the tiers, moving towards the regulatory body exams like RBI, NABARD, and SEBI. Then even their assistant and development assistant exams for RBI and NABARD, and then you can move towards banking, SSC, RRB, railway. Almost everywhere, some way or the other, a census question has been asked in some year, definitely. So it's like a wild card. I mean, they might not ask it, and in fact they generally don't tend to ask it. But if they feel like, and it's like, agar man mein aa gaya, then I will ask. And no one can stop them from asking one or two questions from census in any given exam, because it's something that falls under the ambit of every syllabi out there. So it's, and interestingly, once again, most of the topics that I'm bringing for you on YouTube are things which are doable in a pretty small time. So similar to that concept, even census is quite small, so it can be covered very fast. It can be covered in today's video, a very small video in fact. And interestingly, you will be able to answer all of those questions if they ever feel like asking these questions. And again, another interesting fact, census questions can be asked in pre as well as mains, though mostly they've been asked in ESI section of the phase 2 exam. But even in the prelims or the phase 1, these questions can be asked. So you need to be prepared with census, and it's something that's static. Of course, I mean, I know that census is going to be released again in 2021, that is next year. But till then, if you do the census right now, you'll be able to cover all of it. uh, I mean, it won't change till the exam. So it's advisable to do it right now so that you do not have to worry about it in a later stage. Alright, guys. So before we begin, I would like to request you guys to, as usual, like, share, and subscribe to our channel as well as this video, because when you do so, this gives us a lot of motivation, and we, of course, feel like doing more such good stuff for you guys so that you can leverage your time for your exam and you can clear your exam in the minimum time possible. Okay, guys. So please do like, share, and subscribe. So moving ahead, let's begin this lecture now. So first of all, what are the contents that we're going to discuss today? The initially we're going to begin with some basic questions that I'm going to present to you, which I hope you know, and if you do not, of course, towards the end of this lecture, you will be getting all of those answers. And while we study all of these topics, you will also understand how we got those answers. So you'll basically understand all of those topics in depth. And what are the topics for today? It's basically, first of all, I'll tell you what census is, how things work over there, and again, some basic things that you at least need to know, like demographics, what is demography, and everything. And apart from that, then we'll move towards all of the important statistics. That is the major part, major chunk of today's lecture. A lot of statistics out there, and you need to remember all of them. So I mean, they're very basic statistics. If you go through them once or twice, they're going to stay the same for every exam you give. So it's not. It seems difficult, but trust me, it is not. Because I know I've remembered all of those statistics on the tips of my fingers, and if I can do so, anyone can. I know that, guys. You can also do it. So don't worry. Just go through those statistics once, twice, thrice, maybe. And definitely, I would recommend that please make notes out of today's video, because in other knowledge based videos you can understand and remember things, but over here, when there are going to be a lot of stats, you need to write those down and at least memorize them, or at least revise them 3 to 4 times, so that you can remember them in the exam. Because in the exam, the questions or the options are going to be so close that it becomes next to impossible if you do not have an exact idea of where of what the statistic is. For example, if it is 940, the sex ratio in India is around 940. So if the question is asked that what is the sex ratio in India, they'll give you options like 914 or 904 or 940 or 942 as well. So they can go so close that it will become next to impossible for you to get out there and give the right answer. It won't be like they give you options like 850, 940, and then maybe 760 or 1100. They won't do so, so that if you know that it's roughly in the 900 line, you will know that yes, this is the answer. No, they'll keep it very close. So you need to remember all of those stats, and for that you need to make notes today. Okay, guys. So please, if you do not have a pen and a paper, please pause this video, get a pen, a paper, and then resume. All right, guys. So let us then move forward. And of course, before we move ahead, as usual, as in the previous video, over here as well, today I'm going to again give you three bonus questions, which are mostly current affairs based, and they're of course scattered across this video. So just be aware, be attentive, and you will find some interesting stuff out there. And again, whenever I bring some bonus questions, those are always the questions which are highly likely to be asked in the GA section or in the ESI section. Okay, guys, so be attentive with them. And if you know the answer, give us in the comments. And if you do not, then please find the answers. That is very, very important for you. All right, guys. So let's move ahead then. So, first of all, can you answer these questions? I've brought around 7 questions over here. And let's see if you can answer these questions before beginning with the census chapter. Most of them, in fact, not just most, but all of them are from census. Like the first question, what is demography, is basically from the basics or the theory of census, and the rest are from the 2011 census. So you just go through it. I'll give you a few seconds. You pause the video. Uh, Try to answer all of these 7 questions. Don't take more than 2 to 3 minutes for this, and let's see how many you can answer. Okay, guys, let's go ahead then. Guys, I hope that you've gone through all of these 7 questions and tried to answer them. And now I'm going to move ahead. And before I move ahead, if you've been able to answer 6 or 7 questions out of these 7, basically more than 5 questions correctly, then I would say that you stand at a very good place for this chapter. And then you may not even make notes out of it, but still, I would recommend that make notes. But the people who have been able to answer 5 or less questions, especially those who haven't been able to answer who have at max answered 3, basically less than 50%, especially those people, please be very, very attentive, because it is a basic chapter, a very important chapter. And I remember, for example, there's this question where you can see that what is the age group that is considered for the calculation of literacy rate, right? So in NABARD exam, NABARD 2020, the grade A exam was held this year, right? So in NABARD exam grade A 2020, ESI section phase 2, the a similar question was asked. The question said that what is the age group which is considered for the calculation of child sex ratio, right? So there wasn't this literacy rate. Instead of this, they had asked child sex ratio. So things like this, I mean, if they ever fall short of 1 or 2 questions, they will definitely pick this up and just throw it in front of you. It is their it's like their very basic bread and butter. They will use it somewhere or the other. They will use it. It's like a filler material which can be added anywhere. Okay. So child sex ratio was asked in NABARD. So just be sure that you do this one. This is a very, very bonus thing, and I don't want you guys to miss upon any question that comes from here. Okay, guys. So then, moving on to the first slide of the chapter. Oh, Thanos bhaiya, आप क्या कर रहे हो यहाँ पे? Come on, man. I don't want you to be the person to be wishing happy population day to the people. All right. So before beginning with the chapter, here's the first bonus question that has been put over here, and the question says that when is the World Population Day celebrated? Okay, guys, when is the World Population Day celebrated? Because today we're doing all the population and the demographic stuff. So the first question that I put is, when is the World Population Day celebrated? And this is, if you know the answer to this question, guys, please put it down in the comment section below. Okay, comment and put it as the A1 or the answer 1 below. All right, put it as A1. And let's see how many of you can answer this question correctly. Moving ahead then. And by the way, if you think that can a question like when is the World Population Day celebrated, or when is this day or that day celebrated, can something like this be asked? The answer to this is yes. At least those days which are extremely important in terms of being celebrated by the UN, or being celebrated by any government organization, like Antyodaya Divas was recently, it was celebrated in September, I believe. Yeah, Antyodaya Divas. And Antyodaya Divas is, do you guys know whose birth anniversary is celebrated as Antyodaya Divas? The answer is Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, right? So that's again a bonus which I'm giving you along with this question. That's some bonus knowledge. And Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, if you know this, then you can also interlink it with this fact. If you never knew this name, you could have interlinked it with Antyodaya from DAY. Recently, I mean not recently, but the government, this new government had, the BJP government had changed the name of this Antyodaya scheme to DAY, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. And this is an extremely important yojana because there are two parts of it: the NRLM, National Rural Livelihood Mission, and the NULM, National Urban Livelihood Mission. And both of these, and not just both of these, but this itself as well, it's been asked in so many exams, including RBI, NABARD. They love this kind of question, especially NABARD. They to seriously love this one. And even RBI, it's a very very core kind of a scheme. So, and not just this scheme, but there are so many other schemes which have been named after Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay by this government. So this that is why Antyodaya Divas also becomes very very important. So I just wanted to tell you that it was in September. If you guys remember what the date was, then you can also put that down in the comment section below. So just a second, let me change the color over here. So the date when Antyodaya Divas was celebrated, if you guys can remember, please tell me that date. Okay, guys. And of course, this is the Q1 for which I want the A1 or the answer 1 in the comments. Let's see how many of you know this. Moving ahead then. Census 2011. Okay. So first of all, uh, when we come to census is a kind of a recording of the population data and all kinds of statistics for population, right? So before we begin that, let's see what demographics is, because demographics is again a very very closely related term which has been asked in exams, and you should at least know its meaning. It's a very basic term. It's basically the study of population. Okay. So demographics is the study of population, and basically census is one of the best tools for doing this study of population or demographics. All right. Census is one of the best tools of demographics or demography. Demography can also be used in place of this term. So, one and the same thing. Okay, moving ahead. So, first of all, after how many years is census held? Census in our country, it is held every 10 years. So, the previous census was released in 2011. The next census is now going to be released next year, that is 2021. So, next year, this data is going to change. So, in probably next year's exams, let's see which month it gets released. Probably after March or April, it will get released. And beyond that, that new data will then have to be used. But interestingly, once it comes out and you once remember that data, it stays the same for the next 10 years. So once you're prepared with the census 2021, you can keep giving exams till 2030, and every exam it will be the same data. Okay, so that's an interesting thing about it. And now, uh, this census, the census of 2011, which was released in 2011, was actually the 15th census of India, and it was the seventh census post independence, which means that eight censuses were held even before we got independent. So basically, the British were the people who began the practice of census of India, right? The practice of the recording of census of India was begun by the British. Now, another trivia over here. When was the first census recorded? The first census of India was released in 1872. Okay, which means that it's been around at least around 150 years since the census began, right? Close to 148, I would say, but nearly 150 years since the first census was held. So imagine कितने time से, since how long we've been doing this, we've been following this practice of the recording of population and demographic data. So moving ahead, who is the ministry, or what is the body that is responsible for the census of India? It is Ministry of Home Affairs, or the MHA, right? So the Ministry of Home Affairs conducts the census of India. Next, what is the motto? So for 2011, the motto for census was "Our census, our future." All right. Till the time the new census is released, you need to remember this data. So the motto for this was "Our census, our future." And the mascot for this census was a woman enumerator. Okay, guys. Moving ahead, in how many districts was this census recorded? So this census is generally uh, recorded from every district of India. Okay, so at that particular time, it's approximately 10 years back, there were 640 districts in India, and from 640 districts the data was collected in this census. All right, guys. And if I ask you what is the current number of districts in India, what is the presently how many districts are there in India, the answer to that is, last I checked, it was 739 districts. Okay, this was in, I guess, a couple of months back only, and I don't believe any new district has been created in the last few months. So right now it's nearly 739, which you can clearly see is almost 100 districts more than 2011 census. So the 2021 census is going to be held across 739 or maybe 740 districts if one or two are more added, which means approximately more 100 more districts. And you need to know how many districts are there in India. This is a very very trivial question which can be asked, and if you remember this, then you will also remember this, that yes, you minus 100 districts from it, approximately that was the answer for 2011 census. This is not something that can be asked, but this is definitely something that you should know. Okay, the number of districts in India is 739. Moving ahead, there's a meme for you guys. So India has only 2.4% of the world's population. I'm sorry, the world's land. Okay, so only 2.4% of the world's land, which means it is, let's say, for even less than 1/40th of the world's land. If you divide the world's land in 40 parts, less than one of those parts is what we have. And when you talk about the population, we have 17.7% of the population. Isn't that crazy? So इतना गलत कैसे हो सकता है भाई? Even Ritik bhaiya is thinking about it. And I mean, if you want to think about it in a very very mathematical manner, you can clearly see that in mathematical manner that 2.4% of the population means 2.4% of the land, sorry, land means that India is nearly 7 times 7x higher population as compared to the world's average. Okay, so if 1% of the world's land is giving is you know sustaining 1% of the world's population, which actually is the global average. I mean, 1% of the land has to sustain 1% of the population. That is how the law of averages works. So in that case, 2.4% should have been the average what India should have had. But India has 17.4% with 17.7%, which is even more than 7 times of what the global average population per unit land is. So we have, if the world is having one person per unit of land, whatever that unit is, we have 7 people for the same unit. So every place we go, it's an average 7 people, 6 people more than what was needed. It's a lot. It's crazy, man. Seven times the population. That is why we have so much of pressure on our natural resources. Our natural resources are overburdened. Okay. And at the same time, not just our natural resources, but even other things like uh, getting jobs for such people, getting jobs, and then giving them food, providing them basic necessities for life, it becomes really really difficult. And that is why the government struggles so much in terms of the schemes that they come out with, and the problems that we face. It is much more unique as compared to other countries in the world, because no one is at that level of population and land area which we have. And interestingly, this is also the national average. Now if you see India as a whole, there are so many areas. For example, the entire northeastern region, the any region, and then the Himalayan states or the hilly regions, they have very very low population ratios as compared to the rest of the country. And then you go to Andaman and Nicobars and Lakshadweep Islands and a few more areas as well. There's extremely low population density. And if you consider that as well, then the core part of our land mass is actually so overburdened that we are going through a lot of problems because of that. And not just that, then even you guys, I mean, you're preparing for the RBI exam. That's a government job. So you are straight away 7x burdened as compared to the average world in terms of getting a government job as well, because there's a lot of population in India. So there's a lot of problems that we go through that. But again, who are we to complain? And it's not always negative as well. There are positive aspects to it as well. So if we talk about using the demographic dividend, if we use that in a the demographic dividend in a very good manner, if we are actually able to harness that, then we can even become the largest economy in the world, maybe in the next 30 years, or maybe if not 30, then at least in the next 50 to 60 years we can become that. But then the demographic dividend needs to be used in a really solid manner. The people, because if there are a lot of people, then we also have a lot of working hands. We can have cheaper labor, we can produce a lot of uh, products which other countries are not being able to produce. We can do a lot of stuff. We also have intellectual minds, we can do research, we can there's a number of things that we can do. And interestingly, most of our population is right now, it's in their youths. It's around 20 to 30 years of age. So having such a young population, it's not like China where most of the population is where uh, more than 50% of the population is retired over there, and uh, less than 50% of the population is now having to take the burden of the entire country's population. So less than half of the people are in the working age group over there. India is not like that, and that is where the population is not just a negative thing, it's a positive thing in economic terms. It can be used in a very well manner, but then that is again a really huge topic for a separate day altogether. For today, all we need to know is इतना गलत कैसे हो सकता है भाई, but गलत तो है. Okay, so let's move ahead then. Important statistics. So there's now we begin with the statistics part of census, and these are the things that you actually need to remember. All right, guys. So the first statistic which comes with census is what is the population of India. The basic thing that every census needs to tell. So the population in the 2011 census was 1.21 billion, or 121 crores, as we the crores wala figure which we use in India. In that terms, our prime minister always keeps saying we have 120 crore, 130 crore. So we have, according to the 2011 census, 10 years back, it was 1.21 billion. All right, guys. And interestingly, this figure was actually a rise of 181 million, or 18.1 crores people increased as compared to the 2001 census. Okay, so in the last 10 years, the population had risen by 18.1 crores, and this was a 17.6% rise in 10 years. So our population rose by 17.6% in 10 years. All right, that's a really big jump that we are taking. And moving ahead, then, this population, if we divide it in terms of males and females, the 51.5% of population was males and only 48.5% was females. So there is definitely a difference that lies over here. There's the number of females is lesser, and that is again a matter of concern for us. That has always been a matter of concern, and the the difference over here that can be seen is almost 3%. Okay, so 51.5% is males and 48.5% is females. And again, this figure is like a Ramban. It's like a Sanjeevani booty, in fact, I would say, because it has been asked in so many exams, and moreover, not just exams. Because if you are preparing for the RBI exam or NABARD or SEBI exam, your concern is not just to crack the pre. Your concern is to crack the prelims as well as the mains, and then the interview, and get to the job, right? So for that, you also have to give your English descriptive exam. And in the English descriptive exam, interestingly, you have to write essay, uh, and that is, I believe, of around 40 marks. And 40 marks का essay लिखने में, I trust me, I've seen students, they just can't write. They have nightmares with this essay topic. And interestingly, this census is the best fodder material for the entire essay topic. I mean, no matter what you're trying to write, if there are 4 or 5 options over there, there definitely will be 1 or 2 options where you can use a few of these stats and just get done with your statistical part. I mean, I remember that I've used this data, this specific data of rural, that 68.8%, almost 69% of the Indian population is lives in the rural areas as compared to urban areas. If we take the census 2011 into consideration, this statistic I have used in at least 20 essays. I mean, I can't even remember. So there are some things that are so generic that they can be used everywhere. And so not just that, in fact, it has also been asked in a few exams. So this is something that I would say that you should just learn it by heart, especially this figure of 68.8%. If you remember this, the other will automatically stay in your head, because that is just 100 minus 68.8, right? So this is something you should commit to memory by heart, that the rural population is 68.8%. Okay, guys, move ahead. Next, we come to sex ratio. Now, sex ratio, first of all, what is sex ratio? Sex ratio is basically the number of females per 1,000 males in the population. Okay, it is not just the number of females, it is the number of females per 1,000 males. So suppose, let's just take a number, maybe let's say 40 crores of the population of India is females, and let's just say that 50 crores are males. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll divide the total number of females by the total number of males, which is 40 crores by 50 crores. That comes out to be 4 by 5, and then we multiply it by 1,000. Then it becomes per 1,000 males. And as soon as we do that, it comes out to be roughly like 4 by 5 into 1,000, and you can take that as 800. So that is how you calculate it. It was, I mean, it isn't, of course, the real figure. It was just something that I used to give you an example. So if there were 40 crore females and 50 crore males, what you would do is females upon males into 1,000. So females per 1,000 males. Okay, that is what the sex ratio is. And in India, the sex ratio as per the census 2011 was 940. Okay, so there are only 940 females per 1,000 males, which means there are 60 females per male per 1,000 males, which are just missing. Because technically, or not just technically, but scientifically, the number of females and males should always be close to equal. If not exactly equal, it should be close to equal. But there, here you can clearly see that 60 females per 1,000 males are actually missing in our population. This is the case of the missing females that is also talked about by a lot of economists. Like uh, I mean, there are a lot of economists who have talked about this, and this is a very very big concern that is going on in the economic world since a long time. So that's the case of missing females, and in India itself, there's 60 females per 1,000 males that is missing. And the worst part about this figure is, even though this figure had actually improved from the 2001 census to the 2011 census, it has actually risen. But the troublemaking thing over here that everyone was concerned about was that the child sex ratio was actually only 914. So there were only 914 girls in the female in the children population of India. There were only 914 girls per 1,000 boys. And if the child sex ratio is lower than the overall sex ratio, then obviously in the future the overall sex ratio is going to decline, right? That is why it has been of a serious concern to us that this should not have been lower. So this is also something that you should remember. And now I'll okay, so this is something. Okay, let's move ahead first, then I'll tell you what the age requirements and all are for the child sex ratio, because I put something ahead for you as well. So let's go to that first, and that is of course this Chota Chintu. So Chintu over here is saying that babies count too, don't forget them on the census. And beta aap tension matlab, we will consider you as well in the census. So now we're going to understand that where children matter in the census and where they do not. All right. So because we just studied the child sex ratio. So now I first of all I want to tell you that where children matter and where they don't. First of all, Chintu will, even though Chintu is concerned, but he doesn't actually need to be concerned, because the Ministry of Home Affairs will always calculate every Chintu, will take care of every Chintu in the overall population of the country, right? Because the population has to take into account every single being in the country, be that a child or an adult, right? So Chintu will always be taken care of when we are calculating the total population. Now Chintu is concerned, but Chintu will also be taken into account when we are calculating the child sex ratio. And in fact, Chintu will be the only person, I mean, his age group would be the only person who is being taken into account when we calculate the child sex ratio, should be taken into account in that. Okay, so now, as I told you that in the NABARD exam this year, and NABARD and RBI exams are very close in terms of the syllabi. So in NABARD there's agriculture and in RBI there's finance, but the economics part says completely the same, and even the organization that is making the exam, which is the IBPS, also stays the same. So there's a lot of things that if asked in one exam can also be asked in the other one. So the question was that in the child sex ratio, what is the age group that is taken into consideration? What is the age group that is calculated? And the answer to that is 0 to 6 years. So Chintu and his maybe his younger and those siblings who are less than 6 years of age, and definitely all his friends, all of those will be taken into consideration in the child sex ratio. Okay, Chintu, so you do not need to worry. Now if Chintu is worried, why is he actually worried? That's because there's one thing where Chintu is not taken into consideration. But again, that is not Chintu's it's not something why I mean something that he's done. It is actually just because of his age. So what where he is not taken into consideration is the literacy rate. So first of all, what is literacy? Literacy is basically, it gives us, literacy rate gives us the uh, percentage of population in a country which is educated, right? Basic education, it gives us not just educated but basic education. Because who are actually counted in the literacy rate to be educated? It is those people who can read and write. Read plus write in at least one language, and that does not have to be English or Hindi. It can be any regional language as well. So anyone who can read and write in any one language is considered to be literate. So you do not even need to be a first class pass or a fifth class pass or have any degree. If you simply have a skill that you can read and write in at least one language, you are literate. All right. But interestingly, that is not the only criteria for literacy. There's a second criteria as well, and let's just put a number 1 over here. So that's the first criteria. And then the second criteria is that you need to be of at least 7 years of age. Okay. So because children are not literate, I mean, especially children of year 4, 5, 6 years of age, those children, they cannot read or write properly, right? Not even in one language. They're still trying to learn their alphabets and everything, and they're slowly trying to make words and then sentences. So those children cannot read and write in at least one language. So all of that population, if they are also taken into consideration, they would all be counted in illiterate, right? They would all be counted as illiterates, and that would give us a very, very wrong idea of the literacy rate in the country. So when we try to calculate the literacy rate, we take only people who are 7 years or above. Okay. And that is again something that can be asked. I mean, if this was asked, then maybe next time they can ask this, right? Because this has been asked this year. So you need to know that literacy rate, for that the criteria is at least 7 years of age. And Chintu over here, he will not be considered. So sorry Chintu, sorry Shaktiman. So let's move ahead then, guys. Important statistics. Again, so we'll continue with the important statistics. Now I told you about literacy rate, the conditions for it. So currently in the 2011 census, the literacy rate of the entire nation was 74%, and out of this, the rural literacy rate was 68.9%. It is, if you want to remember this, you can remember it by the fact that the rural population of India was almost 68.8%, and this one is, the literacy rate is 68.9%. Okay, so you can remember it by that. They are almost equal. But don't commit the mistake of minusing it from 100 and then saying that that is the urban rate. No, no, no. Urban literacy rate would of course be different, and that is definitely going to be greater than the rural areas, because in the urban areas people are generally more literate, specifically considering the fact that everyone, most of the people who are working, especially those who are working white collar jobs, they are definitely living in urban areas, right? So considering that, the literacy rate in urban population should definitely be higher, and that is why it is almost 85%. All right, guys. Now next comes the term of urban areas. Now we've been considering that, yeah, there is a literacy rate in urban areas, this is the population in urban areas, but what is an urban area? And this is again a very, very interesting concept, and I think it has also been asked in one of the exams, so you need to know this as well. So an urban area is basically, there are three conditions for it. So an urban area, first of all, is an area where the total population is greater than or equal to 5,000. So first of all, in that area at least 5,000 people should be living. All right, in that geographically contiguous area at least 5,000 people should be living. That is the first criteria. And then the second criteria is that the population density. Now, what is population density? Population density is basically the number of people divided by the area in square kilometers. Okay. So the population density should be greater than or equal to 400, which means that at least 400 people should be living in every square kilometer at an average in that area. If the population density is less than that, then no matter how many amenities that area has, no matter how many roads are there, how many buildings are there, if the population density is less than this, the area will not be considered as urban. Okay, guys. And of course this is 400 per square kilometer, so let me put this as well. And then the third criteria over here, so this is again a very, very interesting criteria, guys. This criteria states that the at least 75% of the male workers, not all the population, only the male working population. Okay, so at least 75% of the male workers should be employed in a non-agricultural non-agricultural employment area. Okay, so at least 75%, let me put a greater than equal to sign over here, at least 75% of the male workers should not be employed in agricultural sector. If 75% or more of the population is, I mean, if 25% of or more of the population is in agricultural sector, then this area can never be called an urban area. All right, guys. So these are the three very very important criterias which you need to remember, because they can again directly be asked that what is an urban area in India, what is the criteria for being an urban area in India. Okay, moving ahead, what is the population density of India? It is 382 people per square kilometer, and I just told you what population density is and how it is calculated. Okay, now coming on to the minority population. So interestingly, the minority population of India stands at 19%, and 19% means it is 25 crore people. So 25 crore people in India are from the minority category, and the SCs or the scheduled caste population in India. See, you need to remember these figures as well, because these are the actually the population which is has been subjected to a lot of social injustice in India, and these are always the socially weaker sections which we always want to take care of. So these are the populations that you need to at least know of. The basic figures, at least you need to know of them. So the SC population is 16.6%. That is nearly 20 crore people, almost 20 crore you can say. And the ST population is 8.6%, which is almost 10.5 crores. Okay, and where which state has the highest number of ST population or the scheduled tribe population? It is Madhya Pradesh. Which state has the highest scheduled caste population? It is, any guess, guys? UP, Uttar Pradesh. Okay, but interestingly, if you ask that which state has the highest percentage of SC or the scheduled caste population, the percentage, then the answer will be Punjab. Okay, because of the sheer size of the Uttar Pradesh state, the number of people or the scheduled castes is highest in UP, but the number of percentage of scheduled caste population is the highest in Punjab. And for scheduled tribes, the number of population is highest in Madhya Pradesh. That is what the census of 2011 stated. Okay, and apart from that, I'll give you a few more figures, guys. For literacy rates, I told you the rural and the urban rates. I'll also tell you the male and the female rates. Okay, let's put male over here, MALE. Okay, and the female rates. So for males, the percentage of people who are literate is around 82.14%. It's really high. I mean, it's almost as close to the urban rate. And for females, it is of course going to be lower because of the patriarchal way that our society has always been, and because of a lot of social evils that we are still trying to get rid of. So it is definitely lower. And how low is it? It is merely 65.5%. You again need to know this figure as well. Now, which state had the highest literacy rate? The answer is Kerala. This is a very very basic question, and I think everyone would know this answer. So the state with the highest literacy rate is Kerala. And whenever I tell you about these states, you should always know, because uh, these figure based questions are comparatively lesser asked. I mean, they would refrain from asking directly the percentage of female. Of course they can ask this question, that is why I've told you. But rather than asking this, a more favorite question for them would be, which is the state that has the highest literacy rate as per the census? Because this is something that can be remembered in a slightly easier way. It would be easier to remember this, and even they know, and that is why even they can ask this. I mean, there's a higher chance to ask this as compared to this. Okay. And again, if we know the highest literacy rate, then where is the lowest literacy rate? Any guesses, guys? Again, it is also easy. It is also a generic one. The answer is Bihar. Okay. And if we know the states, then we should also know the union territories. For union territories, the highest rate is in Lakshadweep. Okay. And the lowest rate is in Dadar and Nagar Haveli. Now, when we're talking about Dadar and Nagar Haveli, can anyone tell me what was one of the recent news regarding Dadar and Nagar Haveli that happened a few months back? It was regarding Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, right? I hope you guys remember. And the answer to this is that Dadar and Nagar Haveli has been now merged with Daman and Diu, and now a new union territory has been created by the name of Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. So now, of course, it's a very very long name, but keeping that aside, because names are something very touchy in the Indian society, and it sets a lot of political waves out. So they haven't tried to change the name, but the government has merged these union territories into one. So the number of union territories then got reduced by one once these two got merged. You should also know this. And apart from that, I told you the I think I told you the child sex ratios, right? Yes. So now, because I've told you the child sex ratios, I'll also tell you which state has the highest and the lowest, because you should also know this over here. And of course, which state has the highest and the lowest sex ratios. That is again a very very important thing. So let's begin with the sex ratios. The highest sex ratio is again in Kerala, and Kerala has almost 1024 females per male per 1,000 males, which means that there are 24 more females per 1,000 males. That is a really great figure. Okay, I mean, not, in fact, I'm sorry, I wrote 1024. It is 1084. Almost 1100 is what they're about to touch. And when it comes to lower, again, it is also a very generic answer. This state, it is Haryana. Okay, and Haryana has merely 879. I mean, not even 900, much below 900, the number is for them. Okay, so you should know these names at least. You don't need to remember this figure or this figure, but this is just for your reference that I'm telling you. But you need to remember this, that Kerala has the highest sex ratio in India and Haryana has the lowest. And for child sex ratio, the highest child sex ratio is in Mizoram. This is a unique one, and you need to remember this one. And the lowest is in, again, this is the same one. The same flute is being played over here also. It is Haryana. Okay. So I've told you the states for all of these, and you should remember these ideally. So because I've tried to minimize the data to the least possible over here, and I've given you only the very basic things that might be asked if a census question is asked. And if things go beyond this, then you just don't need to worry, because then 99% people won't be able to answer those questions, and the 0.1% doesn't matter in your competitive exams. Okay, you just remember what I've told you today. That is more than sufficient for answering all those questions. Yeah, Chintu, fine. Don't cry now, it's okay. So moving ahead. I mean, on the side note, I'm sorry for those poor jokes. I'm just trying to make things lighter for you, because today's lecture is very very heavy on statistics, so I don't want you guys to just get bored. So moving ahead, we come on to the second question today. The second bonus question is that which state has topped in the recently released BRAP 2018-19 rankings? And this BRAP rankings are released by DPIIT, or the Department for the Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Okay, this department has released the BRAP rankings, that is that for 2018-19. And interestingly, this BRAP question was directly asked as uh, it was asked as a passage. Okay, it was directly asked as a passage for, I believe, 6 to 8 marks. I think it was 6 marks, I'm not sure though. Can be even 8, but at least 6 to 8 marks. It was directly asked in 2019's exam. Okay, 2019 phase 2 ESI. So BRAP is very very important. You need to remember this. And this again, it happened in September only. It happened last month. So you should know. You should at least know the basics of which state has topped. And if you guys know the answer, then please put it down in the comment section below as the A2 or the answer 2. Okay, guys. Moving ahead. Now, the questions that I asked you initially, if you were not able to answer those, you will be able to answer all of them now except for one question which I haven't given you the answer to. So first of all, I'll give you that answer as well so that you don't feel like I haven't given you all the answers. And that one is population density. So when we were talking about population density, I wanted to tell you one more thing, and that is the districts where the population density is the least and the highest. Okay, so let's make some space over here. First of all, which district has the highest population density in India? The answer to that is Thane in Maharashtra. Make a note of this, guys. Thane in Maharashtra has the highest. And after that, the second highest is North 24 Pargana, and this district is in West Bengal. Again, both of these states have very high population densities, so no wonder Thane has the highest, and then the district of North 24 Pargana in West Bengal is the second highest. But you only need to remember this one: the highest population density is in Thane, Maharashtra. Second question: which district in India has the lowest population density? The answer to that is there are two districts which have equal population density, and both of them are the answer to the lowest one. So the first one out of them is Dibang Valley. Dibang Valley, which is in Arunachal Pradesh. I'm sorry. Dibang Valley in Arunachal Pradesh, and the second one is Samba Valley. And I hope that you know where Samba Valley lies because it's a very famous place. It's in the news a lot of times, especially with regard to something or the other that has happened in the army. So it keeps coming. So if you listen to the news, you would definitely know where Samba Valley is, and the answer to this is Jammu and Kashmir, right? J&K. So both of these, Debang Valley and Samba Valley, have the lowest population density in India. Alright, guys. Apart from that, which is the most populous city of India? Everyone knows the answer is Mumbai. The highest overall population. But the highest population density is in Thane. Alright, guys. So now I've definitely covered everything. Yeah, I'm sure now I've definitely covered it, and this was the only thing that was left. Apart from that, okay, I'll give you one additional thing because now since I have come back to this slide, let's give you one more data which I mean it would have come in something in some other report that I would discuss later on, but let's discuss it today only. So there's something known as the total fertility rate or the TFR, and the TFR for India is 2.2 as per the 2011 census. Okay, but right now, according to some recent reports which were given by the Niti Aayog, it has come down to around 2.1%. 2.1, not percent, 2.1. And what is the total fertility rate? It is the average number of children born to every couple in India. Okay, so basically, for every two people, how many new children are born? The average that is known as the total fertility rate. I'm telling you this in a very very crude definition. This is a very crude definition so that you can just understand what's happening over here. That is the total fertility rate, and according to the census, it was 2.2. But right now, according to many reports that have been released by Niti Aayog and a few more organizations, it has now come down to almost 2.1. Okay, so you need to know this. I mean, if you remember 2.2, 2.1, you'll be fine for the exams. Okay. So let's move ahead now. Can you answer all of these questions? The first question: what is demography? That is where we began the chapter. The answer to this is it is the study of population. Then, as per the census 2011, which district has the highest population density in India? The answer I just told you, Thane. I saw this question. That is why I had to move back, and I realized that yeah, I missed this topic. So I'm sorry, guys, but I now I've finished all of it. Whatever I wanted to tell you guys, I've done it. Okay, don't you worry. You just do what I've told you, and you will be more than comfortable in the exam if any question is asked from this chapter. All right, moving ahead. Third, what is the criteria for an area to be considered urban in India? I told you explicitly there are three criteria. First is population has to be more than 5,000, at least equal to or greater than 5,000. The second is population density of 400, and the third one is at least 75% of the male workforce should not be in agriculture. And if, which means if 25% or more are in agriculture, then it can never be an urban area, right? Moving ahead, the fourth question: what is the age group that is considered for the calculation of literacy rate? I told you that Chintu cannot be taken in the literacy rate calculation, which means that more than at least 7 years or more is the age group for which all people are considered for the calculation of literacy rates. Okay, moving ahead, as per the census 2011, what is the child sex ratio in India? Child sex ratio was 940, and the overall sex ratio was, I'm sorry, child sex ratio was 914, and the overall sex ratio was 940. Alright, guys, you need to remember both these figures. It's very easy: 914, 940, 940, 914. And which one is 914 kaun sa hai, 940 kaun sa hai? The lesser one is for children. I told you now that because the children's sex ratio was lesser, that is why we had some concerns regarding where our country was heading. So 940, 914, the lesser one is for children, the greater one is for the overall country. Okay, moving ahead, what is the percentage of urban population in India? It is 31.2%, and rural is 68.8%. The basic fodder which can be used in a lot of places. And which state has the highest percentage of scheduled castes in India? Percentage is Punjab, and overall number is UP, right? UP, Uttar Pradesh. Okay. So I think we're done with this chapter, guys. And yeah, there's the third and the final bonus question, and this is again this is a very important question. So this question states that which state has launched the INR 600 crores reward project to rejuvenate watersheds. So reward, I believe it stands for rejuvenating watersheds for agricultural resilience and development, something like this. So agricultural resilience and there's one more word in between, and then development. I'm sorry, I forgot that. So that's what the reward project stands for, and it is a very very crucial project which has been started with the assistance of the World Bank. And any project where the World Bank puts its hands inside it, that becomes important for all regulatory body exams. And then after that, there is also the rejuvenation of watersheds, so that becomes an even more important thing, because now rejuvenation of watershed then helps agriculture. So agriculture is being touched over there, and at the same time the environment is being touched over there, and then the natural resources are being touched over there, and all of these things are very very crucial for they're a crucial part of your exam. So, and of course World Bank, you just, if you see World Bank somewhere and it is something, you see that yeah, it's a big thing, 600 crores, of course it's a big thing. So you have to remember that in your exam. Okay, guys, so this is a very very important thing, and interestingly it happened in last month only, again September 2020. So which state has launched this reward project? If you know the answer, please put it down in the comment section below as the A3, and let's see who can answer all of these three questions. And I believe with the first question I gave you one additional thing to find out. So all of these three questions plus the additional question that I asked you, all of those four things, let's see who can answer all of them. And I always read all of your comments, and we try to like all of them as well. So just put it in the comment section below, and I'll definitely notice that who has done it first. Okay, so that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you liked what we're doing, and I hope that it helps you to leverage your time. I mean, if you were trying to do the census yourself, it would have taken at least a day, and now today I've done it for you in at least in just an hour. So a day's work in only 1 hour, that too in a much more interactive way, where we're trying to make things not so boring for you. I think it's a good deal, of course. And if you sincerely like the way that we are teaching, then you can of course go to our website and you can check out our uh, RBI Grade B live courses that are there. So our RBI Grade B entire course has gone live, and it's a very great course. I've personally gone through it, and I know that it's an awesome course. You will really love the way that we've taught it. It's a totally exam oriented course. We're not trying to make you the experts of economics or anything. We're just trying to make you learn enough to crack the exam. So you can just go to our website, which is www.litmode.in, and check out the course. And if you have any doubts in whatever I've taught you, then you can put it down in the comment section below. As usual, comment. And if you like the video, then again you can comment below, and of course press the like icon. And if you have any other doubts which are still not being resolved, then you can just email to us at hi@litmode.in. Alright guys, that's our email ID which we always stay on top of. So you can write us an email at hi@litmode.in, and we will definitely respond as soon as possible. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll very soon we'll come up with another important video for you guys. Probably it will be the SECC, because that is also a very important topic. That is a socio-economic caste census, which is also a topic which is very close to the census. So I'll try to come up with that very soon. So let's just put it over here. The SECC is coming soon. Okay, and that was also, I believe, released in 2011. So that is something that we'll try to do very soon. And till then guys, I hope that you keep preparing well for your RBI exam, and always stay on top of your current affairs. That is a crucial part for it. So just prepare well, do things in a smart manner, try to leverage your time, and trust me, you will be able to crack it. It seems very very difficult, but it's not impossible. It is doable. Okay guys, so thank you so much for watching. Bye bye, take care.